Hello, everyone. Welcome to another show, IT Career Talk with Professionals. And today we have a DevOps engineer. So, my guest today is Miss Kaye Alvarado. Miss Kaye, can you say hi to our
Hello.
audience?
Hi.
Right.
Hello.
So, Miss Kaye, let's ask now, what is a DevOps engineer?
Yep. So, for the benefit of those who are not familiar with DevOps, it's essentially combining software development and operations, which handles software delivery and maintenance of the platform. So, it's a culture with better collaboration across these two.
Right, no? So, what skills and what value do you need to have so that you can become a DevOps engineer?
Yep. So, yung DevOps medyo wide siya, no? Um, Ako kasi, before I came into DevOps, I was a purely software developer.
Mhm.
So that's one skill that you need to have, knowledge of software development. But aside from that, there's also a scope beyond software development, and that's creating pipelines to deliver the software and also maintain the platform. So hindi lang siya nag-stop sa pag-build ng software, but also yung actual delivery of the software to production.
Right. And so, katanungan lang, no, for our audience is, gaano ba kadalas mag-release na parang kailangan mo ng dedicated DevOps? Or is DevOps like more towards like a role lang pero pag walang i-release, nagpo-programming ba siya? Nagsisysad ba siya? Parang ano yung kailangan ng anong environment nagde-drive ang DevOps?
Mhm. So, yung frequency of release depends actually on the company and how frequently they want to release. Pero yung like for my current company, we adapt an agile methodology. So, as much as possible, we do releases kung pag merong kahit sobrang minimal na change na kailangan it needs to go to production, we can do a release. Tas bukas pwede ulit. So kahit minor change pwede siya. And then mostly sa DevOps rin is especially kunyari sa platform management nakafocus yung role. So hindi talaga yung software yung ginagawa, but rather yung pipeline to automate yung pag-create yung pag-deliver ng software. So even minor things like paglipat ng files between uh, server. So gumagawa kami ng mga automation scripts that does that. So minsan kahit yung simple na pag-code push mo, it will trigger a build na automated siya. So yung role ng DevOps is hindi siya manual na gagawin mo yung mga task na yun. So gagawa ka rin ng magko-code ka rin ng pipeline that will do that for you.
Right. No? Um, so since you actively build the pipeline, what
Mhm.
what stack, what coding areas do you still do?
Um, for us, we use Ansible for deployment, and we also make use of the AWS cloud. So yung platform is maintained in AWS, tapos yung Ansible is yung mga specific task that runs the script on those cloud stack.
Right. And is siguro ang question that I wanna highlight is, does a developer does a developer eventually end up being the DevOps, or parang something like kung parang does the developer need to know DevOps skills to be a effective developer?
Yung traditional na developer is not really involved with the builds, no? Pero merong mga companies na even yung developers meron na siyang parang inextend na nila yung role to DevOps. So kasi ang mindset behind the DevOps culture is pag daw involved na yung actual na gumagawa ng software dun sa actual delivery. So, nakikita na niya yung actual problems ng customer. So, mas nagiging careful siya when creating code. So, yun yung mindset dun. So, I think maganda ring skill na matutunan ng developer yung DevOps. Pero it's not a requirement for all. Pwede kang mag-focus lang sa development because there's still companies na ganun yung way of development nila, na developer is still separate from operations.
Right. So, let's talk about naman how you entered the IT career. Paano mo napili ang IT? Ano yung mga choices mo at the time? Were you really super passionate about IT? Was this like a family decision or family influence? Or, pwedeng nakisama ka lang sa barkada ba? Ganyan. So, how did you pick and why did you pick IT at the start?
Ako, ever since I was a kid, I wanted to have a career in IT kasi I'm fascinated by a few movies that I saw when I was a kid na where they were typing code in the computer in a language na parang hard to understand. So, yun, I took up computer engineering which later on landed me a job in IT.
Anong movie yun? Para just in case, no, kung parent ako niya, gusto kong mag-IT, baka pwede kong subconsciously i-push yung bata para manood ka ng movie na to.
Medyo luma na yung mahalata yung age.
Okay
So,
lang.
yung movie is, yung The Net yata yung title. It's by Sandra Bullock. So, parang, pa yun, yung parang may mga disket pa sila ginagamit. Ayan.
Right. So napanood mo yun na inspire ka and then nag-follow ka ng IT, right?
Yep.
So, and then when you joined college, was that exactly what you expected?
Ayun, yung college ako, nung before I entered, parang hindi ko alam kung ano yung iti-take kasi maraming options, di ba? Like, may computer engineering, may computer science,
tama,
and then may IT. And wala rin naman sa family namin na familiar rin kung ano yung specific na iti-take kapag for the IT talaga. So, ako siguro hinanap ko lang based on definition, computer engineering na lang kasi parang okay siya kasi maganda yung pagka-define maganda. Pero nung actual na nag-aaral na ako ng computer engineering, I found out na hindi pala siya ganun ka-fit talaga sa programming. Parang compared dun sa computer science and IT, medyo minimal yung exposure ng computer engineer sa software development. Pero yun, hindi naman siya hindrance din kasi a lot of the things na gagawin mo sa career mo is matututunan mo talaga when you're actually doing work. And minsan, kahit basta initiative mo na pag yun talaga interest mo, you can read about it, lalo na ngayon maraming resources sa internet. So, software development, you can learn it on your own. Right. So, it depends din.
And during that time, hindi mo rin naisip mag-shift or parang naisip mo, tapusin ko lang to muna kasi anyway, alam mong kaya naman matutunan after?
Ako kasi parang under scholarship rin ako since my mom is a college professor in the school that I went to sa Mapua. So, parang rin siya . So, parang mahirap rin mag-shift at that time. And yun nga, na-realize ko rin na I can still learn. Yun, medyo related pa rin naman siya. Hindi siya totally different.
Right. And like you said, no, hindi naman siya hindrance sa matutunan mo naman din. Paano mo naman pinili yung first work mo? Ito siguro sabi mo, maybe this is an important decision, maybe equally as important as picking a course, no? Kasi as you mentioned, na a lot of the skills and learnings are picked up from the actual workforce. So, how did you now choose your first work?
Ayun, yung first job ko actually, parang I just took the first one that offered. Parang gusto ko kasi right after graduation, I already have a job. Tapos parang maganda rin naman yung role kasi software development siya and parang na-excite din ako na pumasa ako, parang ganun. So And also yung first company that I joined is a local startup company. And parang that trained me in a wide variety of careers. Kasi napaka-common sa startup yung you're doing multiple roles. So,
Yes.
may development, may database management, may QA, and also support. So, na-expose ako to all those career paths. So, ayun. Magandang exposure din siya for starters.
Right. No? So you got your first job now, you got these skills, no? How long did you stay there, and what was next for you?
I stayed there for 2 years, and siguro parang dun sa mga roles na na-expose ako, ang pinaka nagustuhan ko talaga yung software development. So yun din yung naging career move ko sa next companies na pinuntahan ko.
So you went to another company but still in software development, right?
Yep.
All right. So siguro tatanungin din lang audience, so kailan ka umabot sa DevOps part, no? Parang at what was the tipping point, or parang ano yung hindi naman tipping point, no? Parang anong napaisip mo, ay try ko nga sa ops side naman.
Ayun, medyo career shift nga siya. Siguro nung na-introduce ako sa DevOps na career, parang akala ko similar siya talaga sa development. And hindi ko alam na mas siya, napaka-wide talaga nung sakop ng DevOps. Siguro ang nag-motivate sa akin to go into DevOps kasi parang I was given an opportunity to join a company that I've been wanting to join for a long time. And yung role na parang fit sa akin is yung DevOps kasi yung culture din ng company is DevOps. And also there's a good exposure of working with the cloud. With cloud technologies, which I think is a really good skill to learn in IT.
Right.
So, yeah.
So just to clarify, no, so your skills as a DevOps, you acquired when you joined the company, or you didn't prepare. Parang hindi sa prepare na parang did you have a little DevOps already and then became the official DevOps when you moved, or parang dun na talaga when you joined as a DevOps? Parang siguro ang question dito is, pwede ba ako mag-apply na DevOps engineer kahit hindi pa ako exposed sa DevOps? Parang ganun siguro yung tanong.
Yep. Actually, I think the reason I got hired because in my previous company, even as a software developer, I was engaging myself in different automation tasks. So, nagjo-join ako ng mga nagpa-certify rin kasi ako for Yellow Belt. Parang meron akong ginawang project na nag-automate. So, siguro I got hired because I have that passion for automation, and also yung for diversity rin ng company, they wanted to hire someone with a developer background.
Right,
so, yun. So, parang parang hindi ko na-match exactly yung job role, pero I guess meron akong skills na will introduce diversity to the team. So, yun yung ma-offer ko, yung development side.
Right. And also, as I can see na, yun nga, during the time na, even before going full-fledged DevOps, you already had some exposure.
Yep.
As a software, you also, like you said earlier in our conversation, it's also good for sa developers to know what a DevOps engineer does kasi potentially it could impact how you code, right? Kasi you know how it will go into production as well. Right. No? You did mention a little bit about certification, Yellow Belt. How do you feel? Is this something like and right now, no, of course, there's a global AWS global Kickstart challenge where you can potentially get a AWS certification for free. How do you feel certifications play a part in hiring? Yung Yellow Belt mo and things like this. Is that important? Not so much? Does it get you in the door? Not really? Parang ganun.
Ayun. For me, certification gives you an extra edge in your resume because it's a recognized test of a certain skill based on a standard. And also, having a certification tells the company two things. One is you possess the comprehensive knowledge of a technology, and two, you care about your career to spend time and money to get certified. And on that note, I can say that even without a certification, you can still get hired. It all depends on how you highlight your skill set based on what the company is looking for. Yun.
Right. Right now, we are all in remote working mode, no? Well, not we all, no, but majority of the IT practitioners are remote working. How do you feel about remote working? How does it affect your current role?
Ayun. Even prior sa COVID situation, kasi global company rin yung wino-workan ko today.
Mm.
And yun, I was working with a team here in Manila, and we also have counterparts in our head office in Sydney. So it's common with IT companies, especially those following an agile methodology na um, magko-connect kayo daily in Scrum via a video conference. Tapos doon nyo i-highlight yung mga daily work, achievements, blockers, also discuss yung priority work. Tapos rest of the day, you do your job independently or connect through chats if you need something from someone you're working with. So how do I feel about it? I guess I've gotten used to it over the years, and I don't see anything inefficient about this type of working because technology allows for that required connection with your colleagues.
Right. No. Would you say that though the remote working allows, yun nga, since global na, is competition also global? Meaning madami na tayong kalaban din in terms of, other countries also vying for DevOps or IT roles.
Mhm.
In that sense ba, parang how do you make sure that you're top of your game, na hindi siya mapunta like other countries, like other ASEAN countries are also booming in terms of IT. We know, I think Vietnam right now is rising, and Vietnam and maybe Thailand, they have a lot of developers rising, no? And do you see that impact because you're also in a global company? Do you see that impact na parang remote working has highlighted na we have to be competitive globally?
Yep, definitely. Parang common kasi yung parang yung mga companies offshore, parang pipili sila kung saan yung pinakamagandang mag-hire. Kapag kunyari mag-open up sila ng team for cheaper cost siguro, ganun. Pero I think what gives an edge to us sa Philippines is meron tayo kasing parang worker mindset na we get our job done. So tsaka magagaling ang mga Pinoy. Parang ayun,
Of
parang
course.
parang competitive tayo in nature, and we are hard workers. So yun yung nagiging edge natin. Kahit na hindi tayo yung cheapest, we give value for the cost that for what they pay us.
Right, no? And as you mentioned, no, we're quite competitive, we're quite valuable. Anything on your end naman na you're currently passionate about, whether it be in IT or not IT, no? How do you, like, what are the things that are on top of your game at the moment?
Right now, I'm really passionate about yung in terms of sa IT, yung automation, and of course yung cloud. So a lot of what I'm doing involves automating stuff that IT people don't want to do manually. So I code stuff that will do it for me the next time when something happens. The code will handle or auto recover itself because that's already in place. So sometimes I also utilize the power of the cloud to do that for me.
Right. So it's all about automation, no, for you, no?
Yep.
That's really your current passion, and I don't know. Since a lot of automation, like you said, is there some sort of unpredictability with it? Because when you're automating, you are doing some assumptions that if this happens, no? What happens if it doesn't happen like that? How do you deal with that unexpected situation? Or maybe it's new. How do you assess that it has to be automated, or it's just a one-off thing?
Siguro finding balance, kung something, kapag yung ino-automate mo is you'll spend a lot of time doing it instead of doing manual. So yun yung balance na ito pwedeng manual na lang siya gawin. And kapag sobrang dalas mo naman siyang gagawin manually, na it will outweigh yung kapag ginawa mo siya na one automation job na it will do it repetitively, na makakasave ka ng time. So that's when you choose to do the automation. And also, yun nga, yung na-mention mo, Sir Rafi, yung about the unexpected na, yun, sa IT siguro dapat lagi tayong mindful doon na something can always go wrong. Yung meron nga, di ba, yung Murphy's Law, that what could go wrong will go wrong. So when doing code, you should always think of every possible scenario and handle that with more code to minimize the possibility of failure.
Right. Yeah, I have only a few more questions left now. One of this that the audience will look at you and said, "Wow, Miss Kaye has really excelled in her field, no? From developer now a DevOps engineer. She's very successful. Pero on your own personal thoughts now, how do you define success, or what makes you successful? Especially, maybe, I don't know if I want to touch upon this, especially in the IT field where I can say na parang maybe there's a lot more male, I would say, in the IT field, no? How do you become more successful in this field, you personally?
Ako, I think the main thing is interest. It's hard to have a successful career if you don't love what you do. And also always having that learning mindset. Being in IT requires that you always update your technical skills based on factors such as what your company is using, keeping up to date with the latest technology. And also, when you're learning something, na-expose ka sa mga things na pwede mo pang matutunan. So, yung paulit-ulit na, ay, ito, pwede ko tong i-explore further. So, that will bring you closer to being an expert with what you do. Tapos yun, yung in terms of, yun, yung mention mo, totoo nga, meron talagang priority sa, or mas marami talagang male nga sa field ng IT in terms of count. Pero, yun, I'm blessed to be part of the company na binavalue nila yung diversity. So, parang nafe-feel ko rin na what I say is valued. So, parang that gives me an extra confidence na I can contribute kasi parang nakikinig sila kapag when I say something. Hindi, siguro other parts of my life na experience ko rin talaga yung judgment na ay mas magaling to kasi male, or mas mukha siyang mas may sense yung sinasabi niya. Minsan kahit na same kayo talaga ng sinabi, pero pag sinabi nung isang other person na lalaki is parang mas pinapakinggan, parang mas oo nga, saka mag-agree agad. Pero yun sa current company ko is parang yun nga, maganda siya kasi binavalue nila talaga yung women, and we're given the opportunity to also excel in our job.
Right. Ako, I always think IT is a great equalizer. The code does not distinguish, it's code. It's 1 and 0. It doesn't distinguish between any gender, any sexuality. So I think it's a great. The best developer is the one that makes the best code, not I don't know. So as long as siguro the best developer, the best DevOps is the one who is the most passionate about it. Parang ganun yung
yes.
what I see.
I agree.
So for our last question na lang, is, since medyo nadaanan na natin most of our questions, is what advice would you like to share or give to our audience, especially yung starting out lang, or maybe pipili pa sila ng course, papasok ba sila sa IT, or general life advice in this field? Parang how to be you po.
Ako tingin ko yung parang something na underrated, yung having a humble attitude. For me, it's one of the most important things to be successful, yung thinking of yourself that you're not an expert, and you still have a lot to learn, kasi yun yung magmo-motivate sa'yo to keep learning, and it will also open you up to a lot of opportunities that sometimes it's no longer you searching for the job. Parang yung companies na yung mag-reach out sa'yo kapag na-achieve mo na parang tuloy-tuloy mo lang siyang ginagawa yung pag-learn. Kasi nga, it started na kahit na nag-advance ka sa career, yun, yung maintaining yung humility na you still have to learn something.
Right. That's very interesting insight, no? Kasi I think that's one of the areas na not so talk much about because, parang sabi nila, be a rockstar engineer, parang ganun, or rockstar developer. Pero as you mentioned, being humble, kasi pag sinabi natin rockstar, parang minsan parang mayabang pakinggan, no? Baka sa simula lang yun, effective, no? But being humble actually plays a much longer, I would say, much longer value, I think. No?
Tsaka tingin ko rin, sir, kasi yun nga, pag humble kasi yung isang tao, parang hindi nila ina-expect na pag nag-deliver, parang, ay, ang galing niya pala. Parang mas na-amaze sila, parang ganun. So, ayun. Yun
parang over-deliver. Under-promise, over-deliver yung effect.
Parang ganun. Yep.
What happens is that your output speaks for itself na. Parang ganun
correct.
Mangyari. Right.
Yeah,
So that's
exactly.
a great advice. No? So guys, kung audience, no, I hope may natutunan kayo today. And if may further questions or clarifications pa kayo, feel free to reach out to me. You can link in the comment description if you have anything. I'll make sure also na mabigay ko kay Miss Kaye din yun. Miss Kaye, do you have any last shout out or anything that you wanna say lang?
Wala naman. Ayun, yung na-mention ko rin sa'yo, Sir Rafi, I very much appreciate that you're doing this for all of us. Kasi kahit ako nung college ako, hindi ko alam yung mga possible IT careers na pwedeng i-explore. So, having this series is very helpful, lalo na sa mga college students.
Right. So, thank you so much again also for appearing, and that's it. Goodbye.
Thank you.
And of course, if you like our content, audience, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe button, and notification bell. Thank you.